I joined a company many years ago. We landed one of the top 100 companies in the world. That company had an insatiable appetite. Deliver this, build this, build this. We're paying the bills. We're the big guy. And they almost killed us.
What was the breaking point?
We literally outbroke our company in two, and sales were declining. We couldn't deliver, and competition was starting to catch up. The CEO of the company said, enough. We want to grow. You're preventing us from growing. And they walked away, and half of our revenue left.
Oh. Doug Braun, CEO of ePS, the global software company helping thousands of packaging manufacturers in more than 100 countries.
They almost bankrupted the company. We buckled it in, pushed really hard, we did all the right things, and we became the leader in the market.
Doug Braun, CEO of ePS, welcome to Lead the Team, my friend.
Thank you, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to sharing some of my insights over my 40-year career that hopefully can help others.
Let's go. Doug, digging back into your career a little bit, when's the time you had a twist or failure in your career and had to lead to your success or growth on down the road?
One that could have been catastrophic to us. I joined a company many years ago before we actually had really like canned software. In the beginning of software, you just wrote programs for people. That's how it started. And we actually created canned software that you could resell multiple times. We grew the business from about 8 million to 25 million in revenue. So still quite small. And then we landed the whale, and we landed a customer who is one of the top 100 companies in the world. And they almost killed us. They almost literally bankrupted the company because they would say, well, your software should do this.
Oh.
And we would say, okay, and they would say, yeah, but we're paying the bills. We're the big guy. You should do this. And so we literally at one stage broke our company in two and say, you go do nothing but what company X tells you to do.
Ooh.
And the rest of you guys try and build the software that we're going to sell to the rest of the world. And what happened is that company X had an insatiable appetite, and they were just really ferocious about deliver this, build this, build this. And what they were doing was building a custom solution. I spent a lot of my life in supply chain. We were building a custom supply chain solution. And at one stage, the CEO of the company said, enough. We're not doing it anymore. And he took the bold step of saying to those guys, we're not going to do it anymore. They said, we're going to leave. We said, yeah, we understand, but we're not going to do it anymore because we want to grow and you're preventing us from growing. We could have literally shut the doors, and they walked away, and half of our revenue left. Half of our revenue. Imagine literally one day, half of your revenue walks out. And we strapped it on, we buckled it in, and we pushed really hard. We went to customers, we sold, we did all the right things, and we survived 2 very difficult years of losing money. There were times we didn't take paychecks, but that company then grew to be a huge company. Yeah.
Wow.
Really
and
powerful.
It grew the right way.
It grew the right way. And we became the leader in the market. And it wouldn't have happened had our CEO at the time not had the fortitude to stand up.
Oh man, I got a chill hearing that. There's like growing the right way and there's like growing the wrong way. And every executive listening right now, every leader probably has had a similar experience where you have got a very demanding customer that's demanding so much flexibility and customization, and you desperately want to make them happy and help them be successful because you're like, if I help them become successful, we're going to be successful. But there's limitations to that.
It's all spun on, my friend. Yeah.
What was the breaking point? Were they had asked for one more customization than you're willing to do it? Or what was that? Can you take us back to that?
Yeah. So the breaking point was we split the company, and then you can imagine that there's overhead for that split, right? Because now essentially you're developing 2 products. You're developing a custom solution, and then you're developing rest of the world. And what happened is they continued to have this appetite. We continued to take people off of the regular product and put them on their product. And what we saw is the new business sales were declining because we couldn't deliver new feature function. This
Ah,
was a long time ago, 30
yeah.
years ago. And you still had to continue to develop and,
My
we were
gosh,
making
man.
leaps, months at a times we were making leaps and we were starting to fall behind and competition was starting to catch up. And we knew we had the best product. You should always know that as a CEO. You should say mine's the best. But we really did have the best
Hmm,
product. And we were starting to lose ground. And he looked at it and he said, that funnel, building that custom solution will dry up. I don't know when, a year from now, 4 years from now, but it'll dry up and we'll have
mhm.
nothing to go back to. So now's the time to stop. Now's the time to say, you can come back, you can be part of the regular solution, or you can go to somebody else and build a custom solution, but we're not gonna do that anymore. And that was super brave. I mean, I
Oh,
can't even
man.
imagine
The
the
courage.
conversations he had with himself. Yeah, courage is a good word.
Yeah, because you have people, you have your employees, you have their families. I mean, it's a heavy it's a heavy mantle to carry. Thinking back to that time, what do you I mean, you've been through a lot of business since then.
Mhm.
What are the lessons you took away from that that have helped you accelerate your career and your success? Maybe like a decision where if you hadn't have had that and seen that, you might have made a different choice and it might have gone downhill.
Yeah, I can give experiences. A good proxy for that is every company I've run with my technology staff, we say, "Look, we're experts at building software, but we're not experts at how that software is run in the field. Our customers are."
Hmm,
And so we say 25% of our development effort goes directly back into the product that customers direct. So
hmm.
we always create a user portal and we say, guys, go vote on that. And whatever gets the most votes, we're going to build into the product to 25%. Every release. And we identify that. And that came out of that situation
Wow.
where a customer was trying to run us. And it's really empowering for your small customers because we say every customer gets a vote. The big
Hmm,
guy, he doesn't get 100 votes. He does not. Everybody gets a vote. And so you have as equal chance to build functionality at no cost as the big guys do, right? Now, we have different relationships with big customers, of course. You interact more frequently, you're doing strategic things, you're talking about what does the future look like. But that portal is really important to all customers, and they feel
hmm.
treated fairly when you do that. I think that's one of the, things I've learned.
So you give them a voice, but you're putting constraints around it so you don't have to make a decision. Well, should we do this or not? No, we go back, we get the customer feedback. What is the cost? That's 25% of what we're going to do. It's not the whole thing. And maybe you have more business. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
I guess
Yeah.
I think the word discipline comes in there because you can literally build anything. And now with AI, dear Lord, right? You could just customize
You
everything.
you can do a lot, yeah. Yeah, what it's I think one of the things we talk about as a company, and not everybody talks this way, is, we're a software company, we release versions like every company in the world, software company in the world, and even manufacturers release new versions, right? And so what we talk about with our employees is you have to deliver value with each release. So it's not that a
Yeah.
customer went live on the software and they got value after
Mm,
60 days or 90 days. You have to continuously give value. Because if you don't, then what happens is you become part of the standard, right? And you're like, well, those guys, that's just what they do. But now we want to
mm,
do this. So who should we go talk to? But if you're constantly innovating, every release isn't going to be meaningful to every customer. That's not possible. We release 4 times a year, but you have to give customers very meaningful improvements every year
yeah.
so that when the renewal comes up for maintenance or the renewal comes up for subscription, they're like, oh, yeah, I got a lot of value out of that. You have to remind them sometimes, but that's
Yes.
part of treating customers well. The, the other thing you have to be careful about is customers will say, I know you're I'm your largest, Doug. It's happened to me here. Say, we're your largest, Doug. Like, yeah, okay. Well, here I am, happy to listen.
You're
And
like, yeah. You're like, "Is this an
what
intimidation tactic?"
it's
Yes, it
just
is.
yeah, it's just to be sure you know that, right? What I think is important. And the message I give them
Yeah.
back is, look, every customer is important. Yeah, I want to plan strategic with you, and we're going to invest in that. But you also, because you're in the packaging industry, you want to hear what other people are doing in the packaging
Mm,
industry. So all that input I get from other customers is important to you, just
that's
as
good.
your is to everybody else.
Doug, you've spoken about a crucial piece of mentor advice that you received early on, that leadership pain is inevitable. So it's always better to choose fast pain over slow pain. Looking back, what is the most vivid example of the time that you chose slow pain, and what did it cost you in terms of momentum?
Yeah. I mean, I've had the privilege of having some really smart people help me over the years, be my mentors and help me grow. And one of the things I've learned on the journey, particularly around doing M&A, is you can do it slow and painful. You can do it fast and painful.
Mm,
And one of the things we've adopted is kind of a 90-day philosophy to try and integrate businesses. But in my career, I've had
mm.
people talk me out of what I know is the right thing to do and say, "Oh,
Oh,
you can't quite do things that way, Doug. You don't quite understand our business." And
mm,
you want to be super respectful of people and the careers they've built and the founders who built companies. And you want to be sure you treat them with the same care and respect that you treat their customers, that I would treat my customers with. And so you want to listen, and you have
mm,
to do the evaluation. You're the leader, you do the evaluation. But I've done some acquisitions slowly, and it's hurt me. And
mm,
generally, what happens is you get this bifurcation within the company and you get an us and them attitude, and it slows you down because now you're
mm,
fighting battles about it's not us and them, it's us as of one company. We're under one
mm,
umbrella, we're going forward together. And if my learning from all of those times that I've done that is when you allow the time to drag 6 months or a year to put companies together, what happens is the bridge is harder. It's more
mm,
difficult for people to walk that bridge into one company. It slows you down. It's like an anchor on a boat, and it
mm,
just slows you down. You have to, in my experience, you have to do that 90 days really quick. Software takes a little bit longer, but the integration with accounting, with HR, with support, with services, you get that all done in 90 days. And there's a lot of upheaval in that. And you have to have the right leaders in place to manage that. But when you do it on day 91, you tell everybody we're done. We're one company, it's
mm.
one brand. Everybody gets the cup, everybody gets the pen, everybody gets the notebook. We're one company, we're going forward. There's no one company better than the other. We're one single company. Let's go forward.
So I worked for Honeywell for over a decade, and there was a lot of M&A over there. And I think we have a lot of good examples of how to do it and some not so good examples of it potentially. But one of the things about the way I think about your philosophy about going fast is kind of like ripping the band-aid off. Okay, it's over. We did it. Now we can move forward. But then there's this other philosophy of, hey, we're going to be losing what's special about the company that we're merging with or we're acquiring because we're going so fast and we're like forcing them to take on our processes and sort of become part of our culture. Have you had a time like where it bit you, where you're moving so fast for impact that maybe you look back and maybe you lost something, or like how did it play out?
Yeah. So I think inevitably you have to expect there's loss, right? And you have to judge is speed better than potentially some negative impact in a scenario. Um, and so one of the things we do at the beginning is we always take an executive of the company we're acquiring and we put them on our leadership team. And so
Hmm,
what the signal to everybody is we're one company. That leader is going to integrate into our team. Um, when we're also doing there's always synergies, right, in companies. We wanna take people from both companies. We don't do this big brother approach where I've gotta lose 5 people in finance because we're duplicated, all 5 come out of the acquired company.
hmm,
No, we try and take 2, Can't take 2.5, take 2 out of one, 3 out of the other. And so there's a method
Mm.
of trying to put things
Okay.
together. But do you lose people? You'll always lose people you wish you didn't. As unfortunate as that is, the good people will say, I've been here 20 years. That guy's changing everything. It's not going to work. I just know it. I'm going to go someplace else, right? Sometimes they come back, and that feels really good. But sometimes you lose, and you'll lose some customers who will go test the market. And they'll say, I'm not sure I want to be part. Typically, you buy in something that's smaller than you. They might be a really big fish in that smaller pond, and they come to your company and they say, okay, well, now I'm going to get lost. You say, no, 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 I'm here. I'm talking to you. I visited you. I
Mm.
love you. I want you to be part of the
I
team.
love you.
Yeah, come on,
Don't
man.
leave.
Hug,
We need
love and
people to
hug.
run this place.
Yeah.
Well, you're and fact check me on this if it's wrong, but you have like a 600 point checklist for
Yeah.
M&A first 90 days. Is that the number?
It is the number, and it's divided by business unit, and there's 600 scars to go along with each of those that we learned through the journey. And of course, I got that list probably 30 years ago, Ben, from somebody who
Hmm,
passed it to me. And with every acquisition, we add stuff to the list. The
hmm.
world runs on spreadsheets now; it's all in the cloud, of course, but it's divided up by department. So you give legal their task, and you give IT their task, and finance, and so on.
Well,
And it's a division of labor.
what's maybe like the one or two things on that checklist that if you removed them, it would be catastrophic?
I think the first one is the communication plan. So
Uh,
there's a pretty
mm,
comprehensive communication plan right up front. It's from day one. There's even minus days, right? Before the acquisition closes, we'll meet with the executive team. We'll talk about it. We'll share our business plan. There's day one communication. There's day week communication. We really focus on that 90 days. Who's going to talk where? It's not always the CEO talking. It's not always their leader talking, but it's a
mm,
mix.
mm,
We talk about which offices are we going to visit? Which customers are the first ones to talk to? Which employees are the ones we need to lock down? If you took that communication plan away and you tried to, put a plan together off of your back of your hand, you'd be in trouble. Yeah, you'd miss a lot. And so that works really well for us. And the other thing in every one of those sheets that we have right up at the
mm.
top, the first task says listen. And if you don't listen,
Nice.
you'll miss things. And so one of the
Uh,
tasks right at the front is, and it doesn't have an end date. All the others have, day 1, day 30, day 45, day 90, day 180. The first task that says listen has no task date. Just says listen. Every day listen to people, listen to what's going on, listen to customers. You can never over listen enough. You don't have to
mm.
talk, just listen. Yeah. Those 2 would cause you to have big problems, I think, in acquisitions.
That is so hard to do when you're under
Mm.
pressure from a board or a boss to get results, and you're aggressive. You move fast, but you gotta make time for listening. How do you make sure that your people are listening
Yeah.
when they have got to get stuff done on the 600 point checklist? Like, what's your check to make sure that they're listening as they go along the way?
So a couple of things. One is, yeah, because I'm old, technology today helps you a lot, right? You've got all these social
Mm,
platforms you can interact with people on. We're on Teams. I routinely, every day, 0 to 5 chats I'll get from some team member. Sometimes it's little things, sometimes it's bigger things that are, very personal to them. And
mm,
I commit all the time, you get an answer from me in 24 hours. Doesn't matter whether it's a Saturday or Sunday, you get 24 hours, you get an answer. Because when you run global companies, Saturday and Sundays aren't necessarily the same weekend across the globe. So you have to be
yes.
responsive. One of the things we
Mm,
do is when we do an acquisition is we send all the leaders out. So when I talked about visiting offices or visiting customers, it's not just me as the CEO. We send each of the leaders out. That includes the general counsel, that includes the HR leader, that includes the IT leader. And we want people to embrace an executive from the company, not as their business unit, but as a leader in the company. And I think when
mm.
you spread that wealth, you have the opportunity to make sure that you're listening really carefully to employees and to customers.
Mm,
in a weird circumstance, I always discount the senior leadership of the team I'm acquiring. I always say they're going to tell you what you want to hear. And so I'm always a little bit skeptical when I hear things. And then I go to staff and I'm trying to figure out where the truth is in what you're hearing. Because every message is personal to that person and how
mm,
they interpret what's going on in the company. But you'll get a truth, you'll get kind of a cohesive view from people. And that's the best way you can do it is to take it and not come back and confront people and say, well, your team says this. It's like, if we had this problem, not saying we do, if we had this problem, how would we go about fixing it? And
mm.
then you engage your senior leaders and say, now, how would we go about fixing that? And let's be sure we go back to those people and we
Yeah.
talk to them. Because remember,
Wow.
at the end of the day, I work for my employees.
Yeah.
That's my boss. All 400 of my people are my boss.
Do you have a time that's like a memorable moment where you came in and you felt like you weren't getting like the full story, and then you went to the front lines and heard and heard the reality, then took it back? And could you share it with us to get
Yeah,
something done?
almost regularly, right? So you get what when you talk to senior leaders, and it happens to myself too when I talk to my boss, right? I try and synthesize something, not deliberately leave details out, but if you sometimes if you just frame something, the message is actually different, right? Humans have a
Mm.
funny way of interpreting message, right?
Sure.
Yeah, what's the color green? And you get 500 answers. Well, I get that, and so sometimes you'll hear a customer is having a problem,
Okay.
and I've had these, and so a customer will tell you, the world's about to end and it's gonna be bad, and that's their perspective, and we have to honor that perspective, and then you say, "But I actually need the details if I'm gonna help you fix it," and from a senior leader, you might get, "We got this, Doug. We got it. It's 5 issues. We're gonna take care of it."
Okay.
But if you go talk to the project leader, you'll say, "What's going on? Give me the team morale. Tell me how your team is doing. You're kinda getting
Mm,
beat up by the customer. What's going on? And how is the customer reacting? Are they over the top frustrated, angry? What's going on? How do we help you?" And I think that's when you have to have those conversations. It's, in the vernacular's been
mm,
around forever, right? Trust and verify. So when a customer is frustrated, I want to be sure I trust and verify, right? You accept the frustration, then you say, but I need the details. So I'm going to need to talk to people. And I have conversations with staff people at customers who will email me 6 months later and they'll say, you know what, Doug, we never believed we'd get to this point and we want to thank you for that. And I say, yeah, but if something happens in the future, I want you to come right back to me. Now you know me.
yeah.
And my job is I work for you just as I work for all my employees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real powerful perspective to keep the order right. The customer, your team, and when you flip it that way, you just completely shift every single conversation in your company. It's less about getting permission from the CEO and is more about, well, how can I get my CEO involved to help us all accomplish the mission for the customer? I mean,
I
powerful,
mean,
man.
that's wonderfully said. And at my company, whenever I come into a company, one of the things we do is we divide up our customers. And so I talked about this
Mm,
before. So every executive owns a customer from our side. And so I can't possibly visit 1,000 customers. It will take me a long time to do it. But now we have 9 executive leaders, and each of them has customers, and they go out and visit those customers, and it's their job to do what I just said. So it's not just me.
mm.
Another leader can come in and say, "Doug, you're positioning the company wrong. You're not delivering the message correctly. Great, help me. Help me get better." Or it's, "I gotta go to product and get something." Whatever that is,
Yeah,
those
it's
executives
dangerous
are
to like
empowered.
delegate communication. Like you want your people to communicate, and I like your 600-point plan. You're like, yeah, we have listed at every part of the plan. So, and we like the whole thing is based on communication, but you take it upon yourself to communicate at all levels versus like playing telephone with thousands of people trying to get your message across and just deliver it yourself.
Yeah. You know what? It's so rewarding to talk to people and hear it. And people so enjoy not necessarily talking to me, but like I think it's really interesting that the CEO will call somebody and have a
Yeah.
conversation with them.
Yeah,
So
because your
if I
competition's not doing it.
yeah,
They
and
don't
you're
get
like,
to talk to the CEO of their top suppliers,
we
right?
we use we use that in our sales cycle. We say, "Here I am. The CEO is here, the chief product officer here is here, the CFO is here.
That's cool.
We're here. Yeah, this is us."
What findings from academic data maybe contradicted some of your firsthand experience regarding leadership or board governance on that framework?
I'm a constant learner, right? Every day I read one AI article in the morning, first thing in the morning, and before I finish off at night, I read another one. And there's
Mm,
so many different opinions out there, and it's so different, and so many different tools, so many different LLMs that it's not something that's just natural to me. I didn't grow up in that era. And so I have to teach myself things. And yes, I have a chief AI officer who's super smart, but I learn by doing my reading. So education, if you think the DBA is interesting, I have a daughter who's finishing up at West Virginia and she's going to go to law school. And I said, your dad is going to go to law school when he finishes his DBA.
oh.
So I I think you should constantly push yourself
Good.
to learn. I
Mm,
and it's not about, I have a doctorate in private equity structures and how boards work and what are the stages that companies go through. That's the basis of the thesis. Should you switch board members at each stage? Board members take risk based on how they're compensated, right? If you compensate them with equity, a board member will do a certain thing to improve equity. If you compensate them with pay, they might be a more risk adverse because they don't
mm,
want the company to be, and you can study all that and you can put it through a
makes sense.
mathematical formula and you can figure it out. But for me,
Huh.
it's several things. One is you meet other executives in a setting, which is awesome. I met 25 CEOs, that you get all kinds of experiences and you get a shared experience in going through classes and learning together. And the other thing is it just expands your mind. It just teaches you
Mm,
different ways to think. And I think that's the beauty. Because part of the reason I have this job, I think, is the experiences I picked up in my career, and all I'm trying to do is add to that every day. And so I'm doing work every day to become a better leader. And for me, part of that is education. I just think it's really important.
as an executive pursuing, I'll say, like, formal education tracks, and it sounds like you're doing a lot of other reading and learning too, but what is the, what does it give to you as an executive to go those formal tracks? Because, having a doctorate is cool, but you've already achieved so much. You're not, it's like, okay, you don't need that doctorate title, versus, going more non-traditional and kind of integrating it in your day. I'm assuming that the more formal tracks take more time, give you
Yeah.
less flexibility as an executive. And so I'm thinking, kind of asking for audience who are executives who might be interested in something similar. Would you recommend that they go the formal track or take a more non-traditional flexible approach?
Yeah. I think it's very personal, right? So our kids are all grown. And my wife is used to me traveling. And so we can find the right balance. It works for us. Um, Part of the reason I do it is it continues to give me a discipline. Because when you're studying for a doctorate or you're going to go to law school or whatever it is that you want to study, you want to become an AI expert, it takes a discipline. You have to really put
Mm,
yourself into it. You have to concentrate. You have to get your mind into it. You have to challenge yourself to think differently. And I think
mm,
that's really important in this world that changes literally every week. You get
mm.
changes, right?
Yeah.
We just what August 1st, the EU is going to come up with new rules around AI and how you interact with people around AI. I mean, these kind of things happen all the time, and you have to have that mental acuity to be able to address that, right?
Mhm.
Because whatever is the number of employees that are in your company, they're all watching you to lead them, right? And you have a responsibility to them. And you said it earlier, Ben, and it was well said. It's families. I'm responsible for 400 families. And so I need to do my job every day, every way I can. And so I'm really trying to make sure that I have the best opportunity to be successful. And for me, part of that is education. And so, yeah, it takes time and you're losing some sleep and you get a little bit stressed when homework is due. But it's
Mm,
rewarding to me. I mean, personally,
mm.
I'll do nothing with it other than have it and say I accomplished something. And the same will be law school.
Yeah, one of the things that's resonating with me, you didn't say it, but I feel like I'm hearing it here, is that with these programs, there's a level of accountability because you've got homework due and
Yeah.
you are like you're gonna move forward and get it done versus okay, if you're not in a formal program that's requiring that level of discipline study, it's too easy to get distracted with something else. And yeah,
It's
I can
perfect.
see it
It's in a
accelerates your
in a word,
results.
it's prioritization, right?
Yeah,
So
gives
part
you
of your skill as a leader is knowing how to prioritize. This only challenges you harder to learn how to prioritize.
hmm.
Yeah.
So starting to land the plane here, Doug. Years from now, when you retire, what will the Doug Braun leadership legacy look like?
Yeah, if I painted a picture and I said, "Boy, be really happy with that," I think I've contributed to a number of leaders who've gone on to, have senior jobs and a couple of CEOs. I
Hmm,
would look back and say,
that's cool.
did my mentorship put people in a spot where they're really happy and enjoy what they're doing for a living. And if I've
Hmm,
done that with people, and they've grown in their career or they've stayed in the job that they love, I think that would be really rewarding. I'd feel really good. We put that on my headstone metaphorically and say, he brought people along on the journey and they are enjoying life. That would be the
hmm.
cap for me.
Thanks for joining us on Lead the Team, Doug.
Ben, thank you much. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation.